Welcome to the Black Glasses podcast. It's Friday, May 29th, 2026.
Yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Great, great, great. So what is this? Our fifth podcast? This is
Number
our fifth
5.
podcast,
Yes.
right? This is our fifth, the Black Classes podcast with me, Mr. Brian Patrick White, Mr.
And
Joe
Joe
Gualtieri
Gualtieri.
with his
Joe
new
Gualtieri.
with his new tribal background at Joe CD. So cool, so cool. So the episode theme for today is the myth of the second beginning, right? The core question.
Yeah.
Who do you have to be to create a new life when life is already lifing, right? Most people think that they need a reset button, a new job, a new relationship, a new city. Some of us might think a new president, a new economy. But what if the thing you're waiting for isn't coming? What if your new beginning starts right in the middle, Joe, of this mess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like not after the storm, not after the healing, not after we get our shit together, like right now, right? So, like in our first segment, let's talk about like why do people feel stuck? You know, why do people feel stuck?
Yeah. You want to go first, Brian? Or you got something?
Yeah, Joe, why do people feel stuck, man?
A lot of times when we feel stuck, when we have brain lock, we don't have a way of being or some method or tool that we to refer to that we already have, from the past that we know that we can turn to, right? So having, identifying that stuff as you go through life, whenever you see some gold somewhere, capture it for yourself in some way where you know to go to that spot, whatever that is, so you can get that when you need it, right? So then so some people don't have that, some people do. I have that, but it gets old and stalemate. How do you keep that stuff alive or new or fresh or energetic? So seems like something's always getting me and it's something that I don't have, or at the moment at least. But how do you start with a new beginning in the middle of something? How do you create a new start without a mindset of the past if you're already in the middle of something? Yeah, it's a illusion, you know. So, but
Yeah, Joe, I think a little bit right. Like we carry our old identities. Sometimes we think our history determines our future. We're caught up
yeah,
in these old patterns and afraid, like we literally believe like it can't transform, right?
like
That's
a
what's in
hocus,
the
yeah,
background, right? Like we're
like a hocus
disenchanted.
pocus or a conspiracy or something. It's like none of that's real, in my opinion. You know,
Yeah.
hocus
Yeah.
pocus or I don't believe in that stuff. What's it called? Superstitions. I don't believe in all of that like that, but I do have some beliefs that I have. A few.
Yeah. BP, what do you think? What do you think people get stuck, even for yourself? What do you think?
Stuck in, not having lack of comparison. I think, getting stuck in comparison to contemporaries, relatives, friends. So I think, or Yeah, I think comparison comes down a lot to it. And even taking comparison out, looking at, like lack of or like just not being grateful, I suppose one thing, and then having either something else planned out that's not happening right now, something not going my way, speaking in I sentences, speaking for myself. So, like, what gets me stuck or what has me stuck? And those are good starter conversations. Those are what has me stuck, getting upset at myself for whatever reason that may be.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, right? That our Black Glasses podcast, the lens is looking at it, right? Like a lot of times we're looking out there and those elements, like you just shared, you start comparing and looking at other people and you start to measure yourself and that what happens in that, right? Like kind of maybe that conversation right there is kind of a stuck conversation. And then you're also like looking deep within, right? That's a different lens, right? And we can start to look at like being responsible for that. And maybe that's the freedom, right? Like I think a lot of times we, like I said, we think our history determines our future. That's my wife just walking in the background. But or and sometimes we believe we're too late, right? So BP, when did you realize like you weren't the same person anymore? Like, right? Like you were probably at some point, were like, man, we're gonna go get this thing, like including myself, and then life starts lifing, right? What do you think? What do you think you realize that you weren't being the same person anymore?
The
Um,
day that
what,
go ahead, just go ahead.
what time
I
of
was
day?
asking BP, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, at 8 o'clock this morning, it's changed. Now
I
the
think that happens to me too, like a couple hours a day.
the right the I it, multiple times I'll say just when I will say this for this answer that the about a week and a half ago I put out uh, a request, or actually it was more of it was a request and an announcement, kind of like a general announcement for an event that uh, from I was putting on, or that I see, like my return to broadcasting, so to speak. And the last time, and really the first time I went out to begin what I would say, hey, this broadcasting career as an independent, not looking to get to work for someone else. This was about 8 or 9 years ago. So it's been quite some time. And in this request that I put out to people I've worked with before in some shape, matter, degree, the response was really poor. Um, I didn't get much of a response. And I'm like, at one time there was, okay, cool. What do you got going on? Let's do this. And here, like these years later and whatever's happened in between, it's kind of like it hit the inbox and like hit the trash. That's experience. And so definitely at that time, in that moment, without direct communication with these people, I'm thinking, damn, I guess I'm not that person I used to be.
Yeah, yeah. BP, just real quick, like, you ever experienced like maybe you're outgrowing your own life, like in
Ha,
this lens, right? Like,
that's, yeah. So that can be looked. I like what you bring to that right now. Yeah.
yeah,
So
you want
that
to like for myself, like if I sometimes the lens of my life, I'm like, man, this is as good as it gets. And then, I'm wondering like, when do I want to outgrow that conversation or do I want to outgrow that life, right? It's an interesting lens, right?
that's that's a good lens.
Yeah.
How do you
Well, Joe, when do you think, when did you realize like you weren't the same person, or do you realize you're not the same person?
well, so like we real quick, a couple of things. When you're talking right now, I said to myself, when there's always an opportunity to scale up from wherever we're at in life. So I know that you're further along with me than me as far as assets or whatever, right? So managing it, all that stuff. But so there's a next step for you, there's a next step for me and Brian. Everybody has a next step. And so there's always a card to hand the cards that we're playing in life until we're dead. And there's people with worse scenarios, harder scenarios than what we each one of us is in. And there's better ones, right? So and there's ugly people and pretty people and all of them, fat people, skinny people. Everybody's all over everywhere. Okay, it all exists. So there's always a next. What I'm saying is there's always a next. When you're playing poker, you got your cards, you give back which ones you get your next round. There's always a card to play. There's always a next move with whatever your cards are. And I do believe that because I see it happening in other people's lives around me. It's like throughout my life, people taking bold steps, opportunity actions, and things working, right? And also things not working. But what I'm saying is there's opportunity that works when you take it. It never works if you don't take anything. So my point is, it's not going to fail every time. So what I'm saying is that there's a card to play right now for whatever my hand is that I have, and
Yeah, 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 Joe, right? Like you got what you got. You got the cards dealt. The
there's a card. Yeah,
situation
everyone
is
has a hand right now. We can all there's a move for everybody.
right, and it
Yeah.
takes a little bit of possibly like critical thinking and maybe breaking through some of the old patterns. Brian, right? But BP, what do you think keeps people repeating the same patterns, right? I know like there's some patterns I have in my relationships that I continue to repeat, and then I change them, I see them, and I have someone break. Why do you think people repeat the same patterns when they say they want to change? Like everyone wants to change or transform, and
Yeah.
then but you keep the same patterns.
3 weeks
Uh,
later.
I'm looking at that for myself, and it's been a pretty um, specifically, why do we repeat patterns? That album has been on the record player for the last 3 weeks on repeat. And, so as a matter of fact, Joe inspired me to write a composition about a year and a half, well, probably 2 years now or so. Anyway, to stay on track, it deals with, why do I do the same things? Like, again, I've done the same thing. So the other day I was taking another look at this, and I'm going back, into like dude, high school for sure, possibly before, but just looking at these patterns, and they're not exactly the same yet. What the situation, yet the end result or my actions seem to be the same. And so I do not have an answer. I mean, the other day I was reading on you know, it was divergent thinking, versus what do they call it? It's the opposite of, I mean, a divergent essentially doing things or acting, behaving, thinking in a way that's not typical of what we would say.
Unorthodox.
Yeah, it's like an unorthodox way of doing things and such. So, kids in school, if they're fidgeting, doodling, they want to bounce in their chair, it's like stop bouncing, stop doodling. And some people, that's how they process information. So, looking at, okay, some of my patterns, because I'm trying to fit into like a square into a circle peg, or a circle into a square. So is it do like a new approach that I need to be taking? And so to wrap this response up, I'm really taking a look at, I've been writing down, documenting like systems that work for me. And this is a big part of, what I'm doing with coaching, Coeching now, and it's taking a look at the step-by-step process is to simplify things. So beyond that, though, there must be something underlying, because I've been doing consistently repeating patterns that may necessarily not have anything to do with the step-by-step. It's just, again, I do the same thing. So I'm still in discovery.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you want to say?
Man, it's moment by moment. I think a lot of times, there's a lot of different conversations in here, right? Like, someone will try to become a creator and then they start their process and, they'll be like, hey, this isn't working. Then they'll move and look at another creator and be like, oh, that's going to work for me. And then they're going to move in that direction. And then, maybe that pattern starts to repeat itself, right? Like constantly trying to change and evolve. And I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to change and evolve, right? I think a lot of times when people, keep repeating the same patterns and they say they want to change, there's just there's a missed opportunity right there, right? They don't have enough relationship to their word and what they're giving their word to. They don't have a realization of the impact of what the patterns are and the impact on their life and how that spreads its tentacles, right? So there are a lot of components, and then, a lot of times we talk about like want to make a change and then, BP, you bring this up a lot of times, right? The skepticism and all this is that shit isn't all about positive thinking all the time, right? It's got to do with some structures. We still got bills, we got responsibilities,
Of course.
problems still exist, right?
Right.
So maybe the question isn't whether life changes, right? The question is whether you change while life is happening. All right. So let's move into our second segment of this conversation. Okay. All right. The world looks heavy right now, tied into culture without getting political, right? AI is disrupting jobs, cost of living is increasing, people are feeling isolated. It's all started around COVID, even more. And I'm sure ever since social media, there's endless negative news cycles. There's what, we brought up earlier, Brian, like social media comparing everyone to everyone. The world feels uncertain. Yeah, I think like I'm what, like 10 or 12 years older than you guys, 13 years older than you guys,
Say
right?
about
Every
12.
every
Yeah.
generation's had their version. My grandparents had wars. Shit, my generation's had wars. Your generation's had wars. Parents had recessions. Today we have like a digital overload, right? The
Yeah, we have.
circumstance,
Yeah.
the circumstance changes, right? But the human challenge doesn't. So Joe,
Yeah.
asking you a question. Are you overwhelmed because life is harder? or because we're listening to noise more than ever before?
Um,
It could be both.
yeah, well, for right now, today, like this time of my life, past a year or two, the noise would be louder than how hard life is. Life is the same as far as skills and tasks. My skill set, that's the same. I'm just as if effective with that or more effective, but the noise in my head, because when Brian was sharing earlier, we got our self-talk, right? But then also like judging ourselves, but really we're also in relationships with other people, right? We're in groups of people, families, work, whatever. If they're judging us based on like what do we have, like meaning I might not judge myself for the categories of life. Do I have a wife, kid, house, job, well, all that stuff? And somebody else is in a relationship with me, and they use that as a way of judging their communicating and how they treat people. We're also susceptible to that because we're in those relationships. It could be an employer, it could be anything, a friend. So it's how we're thinking, but also we're connecting with people. Relationships are the hardest thing, as one of my friends taught me in life. He said, Joe, relationships are the hardest thing. And he says, you have a relationship with your family, with your car, with your cat, every single your desk. And so and when things are not working at my desk or on my desk or my car, the car's broken down. There's an impact. So he said relationships are the hardest thing. But so yeah, the noise. The noise is loud.
The noise is loud. I got it.
Yeah.
BP, what are your thoughts? You overwhelmed because life is harder or because you're listening to more noise than ever?
Interesting question with those two. Okay, so my choices are overwhelm
I mean,
or
it could be both, man, right?
yeah. So you said overwhelm and noise,
Yeah, like, life is
stuff that's going
overwhelming
on,
right
stuff.
now, man, right?
Yeah.
We
So
look at what comes at us through our phones. If you turn on the
yeah.
TV, maybe what'll happen if you sit at the table, the
So
conversations that'll take place.
I think so. I believe overwhelm is at the forefront, or at least that's what I'm seeing or telling myself right now in this moment. The as far as the noise, uh, there's definitely an agitation level with the noise when it comes to what's showing up on my phone, and then this is definitely part of a spiral because I have noticed myself going to be in front of the black mirror, the phone, more so than before, and also I believe this is a result of oh, what's is it apathy? Just going there, it's a go-to. It's like I don't what is there to do? I best phone. And then just s scroll around and it's definitely a checkout. However, with the rise of the AI, with the rise of the algorithm and these ads popping up in front of my face, and I just the other yesterday sharing with a friend, I was in a pretty sure this is accurate. I was in a chat bot typing. In fact, I uploaded a screenshot of an advertisement, and then I uploaded the screenshot of the advertisement to the bot, to the agent, to the particular LLM, and then I typed in a prompt, and the next thing I know, on another device, not immediately, but on another device of mine, I'm getting ads based upon what I typed in, and I hadn't spoken this out loud. And I'm like, all right, either some entity out there is gaslighting me through my phone, or this is totally picking up on what I'm putting down. So anyway, overwhelm and the noise. As far as politics, I'm like starting to step back from the noise. And as far as what's happening on my phone, which may or may not be happening, I'm just like, I must take some action. So I'm going to say overwhelm is writing most of this. And then the noise, I'm noticing the noise and where I'm getting agitated and to not gravitate towards the agitate. It's like, where do I need to step back, and my farmer friends like get out in the dirt, dude. Get out in the dirt.
Yeah, yeah, get into that real life, right? Get into those real world problems. Play with the dirt, grow the earth,
Revoc
right? Grow food
revocation.
like that, do something like that. Yeah, BP, and it's interesting, right? Because like the noise lives in so many different element realms, right? It lives out there. Then there's our own internal dialogue, which is a
Right,
noise, right?
right.
There's those past-based conversations we were talking about earlier. Joe G, Joe
Yes,
G.
sir.
So are you listening to the noise more than ever right now?
Oh, hell fucking A. Revocate the agitator. Revocate the agitator.
What what
Um,
what is some of that noise that's more than ever?
oh man, so I'm listening to you guys, listening to Brian speak, and then the song from the band called Deicide is called Revocate the Agitator. And it's like it's interesting because I got my thoughts right around all these topics, and then you have yours, he has his. And every time I think I have an answer, and then when you guys speak before or after me, it's like a different angle, the same thing. Um, and I don't know how many people Brian has. I got 14 voices in my head. They don't speak English, and none of them get a job. And they're just kicking back and forth, throwing the football around. And I got being focused, because because we want solutions. Solutions sell these days. Everybody wants a solution. We don't want to talk, be in the middle. We want to have a solution, right? So what's the solution? Well, one solution I got earlier was this morning was this guy said, he goes, so you want to go up in life, right? He goes, where are you hanging out? Your friends, what are they? Right? He goes, why don't you go to a coffee shop where it's all millionaires? Go down there, get some coffee, start making friends, hanging out, and start making friends down there. They're the same people as us with different lives, different assets, whatever opportunities, and they're going to share them with us just as equally as we share ours with them. And becoming friends with people like that. Everybody's, be good, be a cool guy, be a good friend, a good person, right? Just be a person with, and you'll make friends. And that was a good idea because I live in LA, so it's like, and I thought about that. I used to think about that, but I never took actions. Like I used to think, oh, a girl. I'm gonna go to every single bar in Beverly Hills. I'm gonna, Thomas guided it, back in the day when I was in my 20s, and I'm gonna go every Friday and Saturday and go to a different bar until I'm married or whatever, like to some Beverly Hills woman or whatever.
You
I
you
never
and
did,
like another million
but
guys.
I never did that, but that's a brilliant idea, right? Or
Yeah.
just to go down there. Why drink over here or whatever? Go there and do it, right? It's 45. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
that's
yeah,
definitely I'm definitely, back in the day, one of those guys that went out and partied, always meeting girls. I think it's a little different today, right? My kids, they're not the same. They don't have the same
it is
relationship to
different.
go out
It
and
is different.
party. The
Yeah,
way they meet people is absolutely
it is
completely
different.
different.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it is.
totally different. So
It
yeah,
is.
so Joji, I got, the noise more than ever. And maybe,
Yeah,
you were talking about solutions, right? That's just
yeah,
life, right? Like there's just noise and how we interpret it, how we listen to that. So maybe this is
yeah.
another opportunity for us to
Mhm.
like practice that distinction we talked about last week, equanimity, like being equanimous, while there's more noise than ever, right? While life is lifing, and maybe that's the new opportunity, right? Like starting fresh isn't mean starting over, right? Like this is the goal, like bring a distinction because I don't know. I don't I don't want to say this right. Like, I don't believe in second chances, right? I believe more in like declarations and then people step into it
Yeah,
because life is just full of opportunities, right? If
right.
if we're really looking back, BP talked about earlier, like being grateful, you can be with what's so and be like, shit, okay, there's all this noise, there's all this, and I'm here right now. And you really could look up and look around and go, but there is still an opportunity, right?
I have a hand of cards.
Yeah, like we're not going back. We're not becoming
There's
20
a movement.
again.
There's
We're
a
not
movement.
undoing anything.
Yeah.
We're taking everything we've learned and we're going to have to create right from here, right?
Mhm.
So BP, what if your failures became your wisdom? Like what if your scars become your strengths?
That's so yeah, that's this goes to the right, like what lesson did you learn from this or what did you take from this, so as not to repeat it again and what that's what I heard. Well, that's my second thought. My first thought upon what you said really is um, a video that was shared with me about a week ago, and it has to deal with, really has to deal with that. I'll just say the angel and the devil, right? Or those two people, those contradicting voices on the shoulder. And
The light and the dark,
there we'll go. We'll go with that. The light and the dark. That way, like maybe we want to
or the
be
light
all,
and the shadow.
we want to be inclusive when we're talking about these voices and not anyway. So yeah, the sure. And then based upon what comes out of my mouth is going to give the keys. It's going to give the power to who whatever comes out of my mouth and which one of these on my shoulders, it resonates with, like it really connects to directly. That was one part of it. So that is about, really creating, what am I creating? So like in this moment, and another part, that it was covering is that looking at exactly like those, yeah, those trials and tribulations, like what have you gone through? And then, yeah, how do you flip that? How do you just be with it, and not having or harboring that anger and resentment at either someone else or myself and be like, yo, that happened. Yeah, just let's and just take a look at it. Let's not do that again yet. Look at that as something, looking at that as a gift. It's one of those, it's like, man, that was really crappy at the time. Okay, what out of it can I use now? So being able, like for me to be okay with that, or at least more than okay, or just okay, let's take this theory or this process and then being aware of it just continually because it's the forgiveness thing, whether it's somebody else or myself, and then being able, like, I could be like, okay, BP, what you did, that was dumb, dude. Let's go today. And
Yeah,
then tomorrow I'll wake up, that was dumb. Same situation, same story, and I'd be all over myself. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely say what the moment by moment. So
Yeah, those failures kind of become part of your identity, right? We start to really like this is who we are, and and the other opportunities be like, hey, you can learn from them, right? Being like, I'm not, that doesn't work, or that didn't work, and then how do you grow from it, right? Versus it becoming a scar, and then showing up one day, then it comes back the next day, and then maybe on day seven, it hits even harder. It starts
Mhm.
to add some other words in there to you. But
Mhm.
yeah, so no,
What tools do you
totally
have,
get it.
Brian?
Joe, what if your scars became your strength, right?
Okay, I'll answer that right now. Is it okay if I ask Brian what tools does he have? Do you have a tool that you turn to when your life is lifing, you're in that moment, like right now. It's today, it's 7 days from now, when it shows up in your head, or whatever. Do you have a tool? What do you do to snap out of it or take back the power or whatever?
it's a great question, and I'm already making myself wrong. Like, I think I just answered the question wrong, or I took it in a different direction because he asked you about how your scars like make you stronger. And I'm like, that's not what I answered. I'm like, did he ask the same question to you and me? So
No, my question is
it
totally just for
being
myself.
aware, Joe, I would say it's just being aware, and it's a constant day at the gym, and by having this discussion we're having right now and on Fridays, that this is being consistent, right? And not stopping. And it's difficult. Damn. So, and I guess difficult can be a story.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah. No,
yeah.
listen, man, but it's, that's what's going on over there, BP, right? Like life can be challenging, and then the noise is like shit, it's difficult. And that's the lens, that's the lens we look at a conversation. So, and then Joe's like, hey, what's the tool? What's the distinction? We talked about, the word equanimity, right? As opportunity to be with
Hmm.
what's
Very
so like
nice.
life is lifing, these events are happening, but they don't define me right in this moment. It's not that we don't feel the anger, the pain, the impact of it all, right? Like the disappointment, but like, we can measurably balance that, right? Like, critically be with that. And then like, okay, that doesn't serve me at this moment. This is what serves me best now, right? And moving into that conversation, right? Maybe that's the tool, Joe. So yeah, so Joe,
Yeah, bro, I'm
so
gonna answer your question right now, and I
yeah,
want to refresh me. I'll pull it up.
what
Definition
if
of
your
equanimity.
scars, like all your
Yeah,
failures,
yeah.
all
Well, I
your
want to give it
noise,
to. I want to share with
what
you
if
guys
they
a couple
became
of
all your
tools that I
strength?
used for myself that I'm going to share to you guys really quick. Just take me a second. But what's equanimity mean again? What's the definition of it? equanimity means to have equal resources shared by all. What would
No,
God?
no. So you can pull it up,
Here,
if you
I'll pull
want
it up.
to.
Yeah.
Brian
Neutral.
did
All right,
that.
I see.
I'm giving like a basic term, like, right, like, in a
Neutral.
general, like life is lifing, things are happening, shit breaks down, you're in a deal, you're
Oh
in a
yeah, remain
contract.
unchanged. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, and then
right.
all of a
That shows
sudden,
up.
it
Yeah,
just goes in a completely different direction.
bro, you
That
just came home.
direction, that direction can be painful. It can be not the objective. It can be shit just hit the fan, like, all kinds of variables
You
come in.
just parked your car in the garage. You got home. You opened the fucking door, and the whole first floor is flooded. 3 inches of water. Right? How are you going to remain unchanged?
Yeah.
It's stay grounded, right? So yeah. Okay, so equanimity, yeah, remain unchanged. So the art of okay, so I got it. I got it now. I'm present again for that. Now, what was your question, Angel? You said, well, I said I
Yeah,
want
like
to share too.
what if your
Yeah.
scars
Yeah.
became your wisdom? What I asked BP,
Yeah,
what if your failure became your wisdom, right? And then the
yeah,
question I asked you is, what if your scars became your strengths, right?
yeah, yeah. Or the
Joe,
add-ons. Yeah.
fluid. So Joe, you said unchanged, and then I'm like, while remaining fluid is what I'm thinking in my mind. So you're completely unchanged, but there's that you got the buoyancy, like the boat's got to still kind of like move up and down a little bit to remain that unchanged and not tipping over. So yeah, nice.
Well,
Thank you for that.
I worked at a company in my 20s and I was in a sales department. And I remember that one of the executives for the sales department we'd have our team meetings. And I had, there's like 150 territories, and I had the fifth highest producing territory in the United States, right? Rochester, New York. And anyhow, so I had much more business than the average worker in my department. But Jeff would walk into our meetings and remain unchanged. It didn't matter if I was at 200% above where my number should have been. If the next guy's at 10% of where he should be, he's down 90%. Jeff would be remain unchanged. He wouldn't get caught up in the excitement, the positive or the negative. He would just be very stable and neutral. And that's the mark of an executive. Like that's a good trait. People don't get caught up in the moment where they still experience it, they have the thoughts, but they're stable and they don't they remain unchanged. That's what I mean by that. Is like I was like, damn, that son of a bitch. I get happy, I get sad, I get tied up like the dogs when you're walking them along the fence, and I'll start barking, they go back and up, they start escalate. Jeff would always just be the same. It didn't matter how good a day I was having with all my sales. He was like, good job. And you just walk
Yeah.
along, and if you're having a bad day, good job. It's the
Yeah.
same Jeff. Okay, that's
Yeah,
enough of that.
you never know exactly how, people get there, right? Everyone gets there different ways, right? So, in this
Maturity.
conversation, we're
Yeah,
talking about
maturity.
like our failures, our scars,
Yep.
right? Like
Yep.
what if our breakdowns, like we learn, they become our foundation, right? Because like a new beginning isn't an eraser, right? When we say we're going to do something new or we're going to be a certain way, like in that moment, it's a declaration, right?
I got a question for you, Angel. Have you ever, guys, this is for everyone, but have you ever had a moment or a time in your life where you're ahead of the eight ball and you are acting, life is occurring to you in a way where you are controlled more, you're coming across different because you're like you have a big savings, you have a big paycheck, there's some sort of abundance that you have the average person doesn't have. Let's say things are working, and so in that time of life, okay, you're very confident and just calm, confident, right? You're not.
Well, I think, Joe, to answer your question, right? Like
Yeah.
I have failed, I don't know how many times. Like if I really like put everything on a map between my relationships, between my attempted businesses, between like trying to reach whatever monetary value like I'm trying to reach, no matter what that is, right? I had the experience of never getting there, failing, having bad relationships, you name it, right? Like
Hmm.
at the top of my head, I'd be like really not even generous to myself, really like 90%, right? I had so many things where I
It's
failed,
crazy.
but I think what matters, right, is like perspective. I'm getting older, there's more wisdom, but never giving up. And we were looking up at that word. I've always been trying to figure out like one thing I'm clear about is I look at what I'm responsible for. Like it's never really out there. it used to be out there for me, right? Back in 2016, 17, 18, when Donald Trump was running for or became president, the world, COVID hit, all this shit hit. I was a leader in my community. All of a sudden, no conversations made sense anymore.
Yeah.
People were really, really being ambiguous in conversation, right? There were semantics. People were having conversations, saying things that didn't even mean like how they even got there. And I thought to
Yeah.
myself, shit, like
What the
the
fuck is
world's
this?
got to raise the level of their conversation, right? So I saw myself pulling back from the world. I'm thinking, man,
Yeah.
this is as good as life gets at age 50, whatever I was at the time, 52. And I'm thinking, this is what I worked my whole life for. My wife and I looking at possibly separating politics, culture wars, COVID impacting our business, all those things. But what I was saying was the world needs to raise the level of their conversation. After I did some psychedelics,
But
boom,
problem,
right? I learned for
problem solved.
myself that, I had to raise the level of my conversation, right? That it's not out there, right? It's all in here.
It's a
And
good day
so,
all of a sudden.
there was a new growth there, right? But that came with some time, some wisdom, some failures, trying to do things, in the height of COVID. But
It
yeah,
matters, bro. It
yeah,
matters.
yeah. It,
It
it
makes a
absolutely
difference.
matters, right? So I think, like we were saying before, like a new beginning isn't an eraser. It's not going to clear those things in the back, right? It's like it's possibly just making a declaration or having an experience, right, that gives you new access and then trying to live into that. And how you live into that is kind of like BP talking about earlier. We give our word to things, we say things, we want to do things, and sometimes that's not enough, right? There's other actions to take. Like you got to put the structures in, you got to be held accountable to it. You got to, go maybe talk to someone and create something like that.
One-liners.
Yeah,
I have a
but all
doc.
good. But so that's maybe it. That's the declaration. But cool. So let's move on to the next segment, kind of talking about, right, like practical application, right? So
Mhm.
where have you both convinced yourself it's too late in relationships, in business, in health, dream, family, spirituality? Like, what if it isn't too late? What if today is day one?
Yeah, and what would that be like for myself? Because unless you have a quick answer, Brian. So one thing, there's two thoughts that come to my head around that. Is one is my mind just on its own thinking starts thinking, what age am I going to die at? Okay, well if it's going to be 68, then so I start having a death date and planning it back to unfolding it to today, and then I expend everything. Like that's one thought that goes through my head. And nobody knows when they're going to die. So, but then the other side to that was um so for women, if a younger woman that could have kids showed up where I got in a relationship with her and my life as a whole was able to have a kid or two, whatever, three, whatever, then I'd be game for it myself. I would. Personally, I would. I don't think I'm too old for that. But in terms of the planning for life, I feel like I'm too old for that. Yeah, I'm not planning it. But like if it shows up, I'm gonna take it. I'll see. I'm a yes man for it, but I think I am. But money matters, dude. Money matters a lot for other people, and so for that, but I'm saying that given I have all that, I would shoot in the bucket.
You're shooting a bucket.
I would shoot in
Yep.
the bucket.
Okay, what does that mean? You're shooting a bucket.
No condoms. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
yeah.
so you're out to have babies. Okay,
Well, I'm
that
saying,
that's
yeah, yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. All
yeah.
right. Well, I got you, Joe. BP, what if it isn't too late, man? What if today is day one? Not because life changed, but because you did.
Well, then we're rewriting history based upon the chapters I've been reading or the chapters I've been writing. So,
And what
if
if
today,
BP, what if we're not rewriting history, right? Right? What if we're
yeah,
just writing a legacy,
yeah,
right? Like how BP lives a life, all these variables, all these challenges, all these breakdowns, all these circumstances, and then, all of a sudden it's like how you overcome all that, right? That's a different kind of story, right?
it's a different kind of story. So, if this is what I have right now. It's come to me that it comes down to choice, and then there's this carrot, and I'm like the carrot's still just right in front of me. And like, what do I need to do to get that carrot? Because if I keep doing what I've been doing, that carrot's gonna stay in front of me. And carrot's kind of there's some upset going on because I keep staring at this carrot, keep walking towards the carrot, and I'm still in the same story. And my environment is more powerful than I am. Like I'm at the effect of my environment. So what kind of environment am I creating? And then what, that will be more conducive, such as like going to a coffee shop, where the people around, the people with money. So that's a different environment, So what am I creating for myself? Because it's just, and I am making, some moves and some actions. Yet if today were the day that the story changed, I mean, I'm all for it. If it's not an if, but we're talking about things that are conducive in the present sense, in future sense, not like today an asteroid falls in the backyard and the house blows down, and I'm like seeing this as a catastrophe in the moment, and they're like, "Don't worry, dude. In 3 weeks, this is going to be one of those things that you've got scar tissue on. You're going to do great." No, I'd rather asteroid not fall down. I'd rather this new life you're talking about happen today. And dude, I meet her, and then this happens with this person, and the contract and agreements together, and then before you know it, we're driving down in the motor coach. So for it, yeah.
Okay. All right. Very
Does
good.
this land? Did that land? Because if
Well, I mean,
not,
you shared, right? Like the relationship falls into place. That's a big deal, right? It's a big deal. It's great to be in a relationship. And then this contract over here, right? Which kind of sounded like maybe that's a business money opportunity, a growth
yeah,
opportunity for you. Who knows something that so if I
right,
all of a sudden it's a new lens, right? Starting
right.
for day one.
So
And
this, that is it, and that's the thing because in that moment, right, in that instant, the thing can change, and so like Joe meets this girl, and then in an instant, like on Fridays, he's showing up in a completely different way.
well,
So,
he said he's gonna shoot it in a bucket,
well, that's
on day
another thing.
one.
So on our next segment, it'll
That's a
be
whole different thing there.
women's hygiene in their buckets.
Well, we got to worry about Joe shooting in a bucket.
You ever gone fishing?
I think that's the first thing, right? So, Joe, what I got earlier, you say you go shoot a bucket. What if today is day one? Today is day one.
You know when you go fishing in your backyard pool? No. Okay. What was your question, Angel? It's day number
No,
one.
go ahead, tell
Reproductive
me. I want to
buckets,
hear
yeah.
what if you go fishing. Let me hear what you
Oh
got to
no,
say,
like
Joe.
shooting in a bucket. I said shooting a bucket. It's like same thing like when you go fishing, you're in a pool, in a pond, a little backyard pond. You can't go nowhere, right? You're like poof, you got them all right there.
Well, Joe, you
Okay,
got, there
that's
might
for
be
sure.
women, there might be other women watching this, and all of a sudden they got to be careful. Joe's going to be trying to shoot in the bucket. Maybe that's
Yeah,
not what they want.
the one that would
But
be
all
doing
good.
that would probably she'd have a tattoo right here, and probably another one, couple teardrops right here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Okay.
they're out there. Those women are definitely out there. That's all
And they'll,
cool.
they'll, they'll, yeah, they'll kick my ass. Okay,
All
so what
right.
was your question? What was your
Well, Joe,
question?
you've already answered it. We're good. We're good.
Okay, on to the next. Perfect.
If
We're
today
gonna
was
reel it
day
in.
one, right? Not because life changed, because you did, right? That was the question. And earlier you were talking about shooting a buck, and we are just having some fun with that.
Yeah, and um, okay. Well, one if I changed, and so one tool that I do have that works at times in life, believe it or not, it works every time I use it. I look at it, I read it. It's called one-liners. I've collected one-liners throughout my life that I've every time for Team for Life, okay, and all these other things I've been a part of. Whenever I have a phone with me, I'll add it to a notepad, transfer it to this document when I get home. I have a long document, about 5 pages, let's say, of one-liners. They're all random. Each one's independent of itself, right? And anyways, I'll share it with you guys. If you guys ever had one to see it, just to see if it gives you hope, or if it breaks you out of brain lock, or you unfreeze when the world's got you, and you're like, how the fuck can I get free right now? Right? How can I have power over it? I'm not feeling this document. I called it one line. I named it one liners. Is works for me a lot. It's things that you forget about, that you're not aware of every second of every day, that and this day that one works for you. That statement, this day this one works. I mean, there's a lot of statements. It's a total blend, and it's nothing but pure gold. Every single statement. I mean, I might collect one a week or one a month. That's how strong they are. They're not every day. Oh, you get 20 of them. This is the purest shit that I've ever come across that I collected, and but it got old for me in the sense that when I looked at it, even though it's very long. I still had it like memorized, it got stalemate. It got to be like mundane. So, but to you guys, it would not be mundane. But you guys have a tool or method, a thing that you guys do to break yourself out of those moments. That's going to be brand new to me. And like,
So
I'll
Joe,
keep,
if today was day one,
yeah.
right, what would you be doing? Are you gonna like, are you saying like you're just implementing new tools, new conversations, new distinctions in your life?
Um, yes. So how to have day one going forward, right? The whole thing today. Um, I don't have, bro, I don't have an equanimity answer where I can remain unchanged going forward and with
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
perspective. Because I mean, let me just add this one last thing to that is life every single day from sunrise to sunset is going to be about the same as the one before. You could have big things that happen on that day, but overall, your whole life balance sheet is about 95% the same every day. So, like, let's say you crash your car and you total it, or a loved one dies, that'd go from 100% down to 95. Okay. There's still 95% of your life that's still the same. That's how as significant those areas are, there's still only about 5% of use, meaning, and when we get better in life and we start making changes and better actions, notice how the growth and the stability, the addition, the things that stick with us on the day to day grow slowly, right? You can have like two actions a day, and one day you have 30 actions, and you did get 30 results that day. But overall, as a person, the day after the 30 action day, the next day, you likely have the strength of one to two actions, right? Because it's like a life's the marathon approach to the growth. So what I'm saying is like we don't what I'm calling myself out on is that I've noticed in my life I'll have a different perspective on the same situation one day to the next. Like, one day I have
Yeah.
this mindset around this situation. The next day I have a completely different mindset on the same situation. And that's bullshit. That has led me to no results of life because I should not have that varying type of perspective on a situation that's 99 or 100% the same, both, those 2 days, right? Or in general, every
Yeah.
day.
Well, Joe, maybe,
That's
that's the
bad.
greatest, maybe that's the greatest lie that we've ever been told, right? Like we have to have it all figured out, or that we're not supposed to think like that, right? That like these new beginnings belong, some other way, or they happen some other way, right? Well,
When you
I
have
think,
tenure and you have longevity with something and you get experience in something, deep experience, and you're seasoned with something, you start getting the elite payment for that, rewards. You start reaping the money, the premiums with that come with time, right? And when you're always starting different every day, you're banging a new chick every day, you're getting a new job every week, and you don't have a tenure with anything, that's me, right? That's basically in a nutshell, a description of where I've been my whole life. And so now I respect and what I wish and what I want for what I want to create is that tenure of something. I want to become a thing, like one more thing, anything, and do it for 20 years. Get a
yeah,
chick,
cool.
a good chick, and with one chick for 20 years or marry her, right? Like what I'm saying is switching it up every day or the same situation having a different perspective. Like today, I'm talking with you guys about this over there that way. The next day, I'm talking completely different about that same thing to you guys. Different though. That's bullshit.
No, we get it, Joe. We get it, Joe. You've shared a little bit about that. All right. BP, anything you want to say real quick about those comments?
Yeah,
Are they?
that listening to you, Joe, I'm hearing that was clear. That was pretty clear to me over here, and I this just the thought process. So I'm hearing my responses, and then what you're saying, the response, and how they tie it in. And you ask about the step-by-step process, or no, that's me. Excuse me. You said how the perspective changes from one day to the next. And then I hear, making yourself wrong for that. And I'm like, but that's what happens over here with me.
Yeah.
And then being able to just stop what my traditional response, my default would be, and be like, so what do I not say? I have the thought right now. Let me not say it. And then what will open up? Because if I start getting angry or cussing, and then it just leads down that. So this isn't anything new. I think some of the steps and processes are really easy, Joe. I heard you talking it out loud, and I'm thinking, oh, people listening to this podcast or we reviewing this one, whoa, I think Joe, you occurred cohesive to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think a lot of these experiences, like talking to Joe and all, including myself, is like sometimes in life, as we go on, as we've all grown up, right? Like, we have to forgive ourselves. Sometimes we don't know any better, right? Like we're in these situations and we don't know any better. Like that's our winning formula, right? And there's
mm,
there's something that is fulfilling in us, but and maybe
When
that's
people
where
tell you your
we
winning
can just be
formula,
generous with one another, right? We just didn't know
mm,
any better at that time. And now we do. We can look back at all those perspectives and be like, well, we know a little better. And now is an opportunity, right? Because the truth is every morning is a new beginning, right?
when people tell you you have a winning formula, like meaning I have my thoughts about my life, my day, whatever, as I'm living my day, right? Okay, then I'm on the phone with somebody, and then or I'm somewhere doing a thing over there, or cooking
So
this over
Joe, real
here.
quick, Joe, I want to wrap this up, okay? I
All right,
got you, right? We want to stay specific to the conversation, but
okay.
we'll come back to the next time, all right? So, BP, you want to give some last words real quick?
What type of salsa are you making over there?
just determine what you want to cook with the carrot. Get the carrot and cook it.
Okay. Joe G, Joe G,
I'm gonna keister the jalapeno.
you're gonna
I'm
keys to
gonna-
the jalapeno. Well, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna be heading out, road tripping out to Georgia, and we're gonna be doing some sacred experiences out there. So, with that said, leave you guys. Life's gonna keep lifing, right? The economy is gonna do what it does. Politics gonna do what politics does. People will disappoint us, right? You'll disappoint yourselves, but none of it has a final say. The final say belongs to the declaration you make about who you're going to be next, not
and your friends,
someday, today. So, I think what I love about this episode is that it just kind of sits directly, in our Black classes lens, right? Everyone's looking at circumstances. You're looking at the person looking at the circumstances. And that's where possibility lives. Not
and the
changing
people.
life, but in creating a new way of being while life is happening exactly as it is. So, with that
And
said,
when the people around the
Joe,
people,
what do you want to say so bad, Joe?
I want to say this, man. I gotta say this. And the people around you may be right when they're telling you good feedback to yourself about something that they got from you or you did. If it's a positive comment to you that they're telling you that from them that you didn't ask for free feedback, they're probably right because they're the public. They are the society. Now, if people are saying something negative to you, you don't have to think that's always going to be right, okay? Because some people are hating or whatever. So, but when it's a positive comment that you did not solicit, take it as fucking real. Maybe because we don't always see our goals. I make badass food over here every day, like for reals. And but it's not hardly anybody gets it. But I'm a son of a bitch of a cook. I'm telling you, man, I can make some good stuff, and that's some serious goals that I have. And
No,
I
good,
want
Joe.
to,
Joe, thanks for the closing statements. Okay, so everyone, it's the Black Classes podcast with three regular guys. While life is life, and we don't have it all resolved, but we just come on here, we share, and hopefully it makes a little difference to you guys, right? So BP, Mr. Brian Patrick White, Mr. Joe CD, Joe Galtieri, everyone have a great day, and we'll
all
catch you
right,
on the
see you
next
guys.
podcast.
All right.